To tell you history, I'm going to tell you a bit of biology. Each human has 2 chromosomes, which make up their DNA. Biological females have 2 X chromosomes, and biological males have an X and a Y chromosome. Whenever a baby is made, they get half of each X chromosome from their mother and half from their father. But because of the nature of Y chromosomes being a men-only thing, each boy gets their entire Y chromosome from their father because their mother doesn't have one. This Y chromosome is unaltered except for occasional mutations over the course of several generations, while X chromosomes are always a merging of 2 different sets of DNA from 2 different humans. This stability of Y chromosomes makes them an absolutely perfect tool for tracing family history through genetics. Because whenever a mutation happens in the Y chromosome, all direct male descendants of that person also inherit the same mutation. National Geographic put out a documentary about this exact thing, and the findings presented by the documentary happen to be the most recent and most exact record I know of who the first Native Americans were and where they came from. This project found that the oldest mutation in the Y chromosome, the mutation that every human with a Y chromosome has, the one that points to our earliest common ancestor, so-called the biological Adam, comes from East Africa. From here, both archaeological and biological evidence indicate that the first wave of human migration out of Africa came 50,000 years ago, possibly due to lowering sea levels and scarcity of food that came with the Ice Age. This first wave of humans went to Australia. Their descendants are the Aboriginals. Later waves of human migration populated the Middle East, India, and Central Asia. The groups that later populated Europe and North America came to these places by going east and west through Siberia. America was populated much later after the first humans left Africa. It was only around 13,000 years ago that nomads from Siberia crossed the Bering Strait into Alaska and Canada, according to genetic evidence. The APUSH book gives a much less specific time frame of 35,000 to 10,000 years ago for this. Because of the Ice Age, the place that is now the Bering Sea was once covered in ice, such that humans could simply walk across it, provided they didn't mind the cold conditions. Even more interesting, though, is that the DNA testing from that documentary I mentioned earlier shows there may have been fewer than 20 people who crossed the Bering Strait, and became the ancestors of all Native Americans. In 12,500 years, these people and their descendants would populate all corners of both continents and grow their numbers to millions. The APUSH book cites a 1992 study from the University of Wisconsin that says 54 million is the number of Native Americans that were there in the year that Columbus landed.